It's this concept of better ways to be a solo filmmaker. This kind of content really started to take a real big spike around COVID. But even with it being a few years since we've been on lockdown or anything like that, I'm still seeing a real big rise in that type of content. And you'll hear YouTubers say things like, oh, if you don't have any friends or anybody in particular to shoot with, they'll say things like, here's a few tips on how to be a better solo filmmaker. And though those tips are helpful, and I would never discredit another YouTuber as far as the techniques in order to be a better technical shooter, the elephant in the room that people aren't talking about is just the simple fact that solo filmmaking just sucks. It sucks because, see, filmmaking is already hard enough in itself, having to learn composition, lighting, you know, the technical specs of your camera, trying to figure out whether your camera is the right camera for the job or not. And if you're someone who lives in a small town like I live, then you understand this just as much as I do, if not more, that in certain towns, there's just not a lot of people who appreciate the concept of filmmaking. Sure, they appreciate you from a business aspect and they'll pay for your services all day long, but to be able to have somebody who appreciates the art of creativity like you do in order to bounce ideas off of and come up with different concepts and ideas, it's really hard to do that by yourself, especially in a smaller town. It'll kind of deflate you a little bit. Like, I know even where I live at, when I'm trying to think of certain ideas, you know, it's hard and there's not a lot going on. Certain seasons it can get pretty quiet, so it'll kind of burn you out as a filmmaker when you don't have anybody in your immediate area that you can just go out and have some filmmaking fun with. Because there's definitely certain filmmakers in our area, but the thing about it is everybody has a life. People got kids, people got other jobs, things of that nature. And as me being someone who sort of stepped into this filmmaking role full time now and sort of made a decision that this is going to be my career moving forward, having filmmaker friends to sort of meet up with and just generate some content with and stuff like that, it's kind of rare to find nowadays. And I can't sit here and lie and say that I don't get jealous of certain YouTubers that I'm a fan of when I see them be able to meet up with their friends and help each other with content. You know, all of them have YouTubes, all of them are putting out tutorials, testing out each other's gear, comparing lenses. You know, that's something as a full-time filmmaker, I really look forward to having something like that. This isn't going to be one of those videos where I give you a bunch of technical tips on how to become a better solo filmmaker. There's plenty of YouTubes for that. What I'm going to talk about today is just a few things that I try to do to make solo filmmaking a little bit more fun and less deflating when you don't have anybody around you to kind of help you and bounce ideas off of. I'd say the first piece of advice that I would have to give to a solo filmmaker after 10 years of doing it is going to be to find yourself a passion project that you want to work on. You know, it could be a short film, you know, a mini doc. You know, if you're someone in the music video space, maybe you can get with one of your artist friends and see if you want to discount them a video for a concept you've been thinking about. A couple of passion projects that I'm working on right now. One is definitely a feature film called Live Forever that I've already written the script for and scouting locations, and I'm in the process of trying to cast at the moment. Another project that I have in the works is a mini documentary about a coach in my neighborhood by the name of Coach Cuddy. He's a youth football coach in my area and also does refereeing in his off seasons. And these aren't projects that people are paying me to do. These are just projects that I feel real passionate about and sort of messages that I want to get out to my crowd of people. And you don't necessarily have to do those specific type of concepts. But the point I'm trying to make with this video is that find something that really means a lot to you and find a way to tell that story on film. Another tip I would give shooters as far as solo filmmaking is concerned, and it's going to sound stupid at first, but I really mean it when I say this. You have to go places. And I'm saying this as someone who knows how hard it is to be around people. I'm definitely an introvert when it comes to being in public spaces. Being around filmmakers is different. You guys usually speak the same language, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who feels a little bit weary sometimes about bringing my camera in large crowds around a bunch of people who just don't know or appreciate the value of the equipment that you have in your hands. But no, seriously, you have to go places. Go to sporting events, go to your local park, see people doing things, and then when you see something that's interesting, don't be afraid to walk up to that person and just say, hey, I'm a content creator. I really find what you're doing right here interesting. Do you mind if I get a shot of that for my channel? And I would say about 80 to 90% of the time that I ask people that question, they're usually cool with it. But I think it goes without saying not to abuse that and don't do anything nefarious with that opportunity. I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give filmmakers after doing this for so long, I think I saved this one for last because this one means a lot to me. let your art find its tribe. And I say this to myself all the time, because as filmmakers and as people who like to create, we sort of get caught up and we place our value sometimes in the amount of views and subscribers, followers, click-through rate, and we measure our success on those metrics a lot of times. And when things aren't necessarily clicking the way we want them to click, in comes that dreaded imposter syndrome again, and we start questioning ourselves, and are we really supposed to be here, things of that nature. And one of the things that I've learned is, like, after 10 years, that feeling never goes away. But I can promise this: if you're really serious about your passion for creativity and wanting, and just for the sheer sake of wanting to create things, your art will eventually find its crowd. You know, even with this YouTube channel, if you go back and you look, the most views that I have on a lot of my videos are the music videos that I had. But what made me veer over into this sort of YouTube or tutorial filmmaking kind of content was that I always started getting a lot of questions. You know, what was my frame rate here? How do I shoot this? How do I edit this? How do I color grade this? And so even though right now my immediate engagement has taken a hit because of my shift in content, I still understand the bigger picture. I understand that it's not necessarily about certain metrics, but that the fact that I'm able to help other creators who were in the same position that I was 10 years ago, but just didn't necessarily have a lot of YouTube channels available to them to necessarily learn a lot of different perspectives. I'm not saying there weren't YouTubers out in the space back then teaching us how to do this stuff, but the space back then wasn't as wide open as it is now. So now you have a lot of creators with a lot of different perspectives, a lot of shooting styles. So with enough research, enough practice, enough trial and error, you can develop a style that you are familiar with, you like to emulate, or you end up developing your own kind of hybrid style altogether, which is what I've sort of been trying to do with the type of content and mood and feel and colors that I try to put off into my content. And I know this video probably wasn't what people were expecting to see. And in my previous video, I spoke about trying my hardest not to let my videos in the mood of my channel take a negative turn. I think something that's way more important than the mood or tone of a channel is transparency. And I could give you 1,000 videos talking about how filmmaking changed my life and how I would never put down a camera and how I feel anyone who has a passion for creation should probably pick up a camera. It's a disservice to talk about that and not bring up the other side of the filmmaking space and the things that can essentially happen and the sacrifices that you ultimately have to be willing to make. And I don't want any filmmaker to come to my channel and, you know, see the glitz and glamour of this lifestyle. And yes, there is a lot of freedom to it, but there are downsides and sacrifices and other sides to the coin that people need to consider before they make this right here something that they want to do full time. That's enough of me talking, man. I appreciate anybody that made it this far and was, you know, willing to sit and listen to me talk and vent a little bit. But, you know, if you made it this far and you found anything of value out of this video, appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know, it really helps me put out more content for you guys like this. If you're someone who saw this video and feels the exact same things that I've talked about or have gone through in this space, and you're looking for a place to connect with filmmakers and just sort of grow, I do have a Discord server called Cine Bros Network. This is a server where filmmakers and content creators all alike can come in and, you know, share each other's experiences, you know, help each other. You know, sometimes being in small towns, it's hard to find other creators that you connect with, so this is something good for that. Link will be in the description. Been another one from your boy Da Vinci HD, reminding you the only reason that piece of art that you want isn't out is because you haven't pressed record. See you guys on set. Peace out.